and welcome to Marble Rundown, your source for the most important Marble news of the week that you need to know. Now here's your hosts, Bob Ballmer and Dan Orboole.
Hey everyone, welcome to the show. I'm Dan, and this fine fellow beside me is Steve Naisphere, whom you might recognize as the host of Rollback here on TMR, and who has graciously decided to fill in for Bob this week while he's out sick. How's it going, Steve?
Man, it's great to be here. Longtime fan of the show, and I'm just mad excited to talk news with my homie.
Well, I'm sorry that Bob's not here then. Just kidding. We're all friends here.
Aight, enough banter. You know the main reason I agreed to come on today.
Yeah, I do. Alright, let's get this over with.
Being an untouchable guest host, I'm gonna milk this.
You said you'd get it over with quick.
I lied. So where should we start? Oh, I know. How about some rude mispronunciation of fan names? Poor Nest Nedge Productions. If you're gonna feature his stuff, don't call him NestGen.
In all fairness, that one was Bob. Must have been the sickness creeping in a bit early. I mean, he also claimed Cool Moody finished third in the first race, as well as thinking that Duct Tape DNF'd. None of those were true.
Bob not being here isn't gonna save you from this next one. I believe it was you that claimed that Super Bowl was in first place overall. It's the overall standings. How do you mess that up?
Yeah, I got nothing. That one was rough.
Just embarrassing. And lastly, we had a small editing error on some of the graphics for where racers started in race 2, where we showed Cool Moody being in the wrong spot.
So, if I'm right, that should be about it, right? Ugh, that was hard to watch.
So for everyone keeping track at home, that's 1 you blew it for Dan, 1 you blew it for the editor, and 3 you blew it's for Bob. You multi-blew it. Do y'all have any quality control in this show?
I feel like we used to. We might again now that Producer Jay is threatening to cut our pay for errors. To everyone at home, don't forget to use #YouBlewIt to call out our little mix-ups.
Alright, shake it off. Let's move on to this week's race, shall we?
Cool Moody and Super Ball entered this race with only a point separating them atop the Marble Rally standings, and as a result took center stage on the starting block. But unexpectedly, both of them fell into the middle of the pack right away, as a high-speed opening stretch saw some incredibly high speeds and a number of early lead changes as racers jostled for that initial position. Emerging with the lead was Dragon's Egg, my personal pick from 2 weeks back. Man, I regret not sticking to my guns last week.
Focus, Dan.
Right. So, as we approached the 17-second mark in the race, the track started to narrow and the competitors fell into their early positions. A top 3 of Dragon's Egg, Quicksilver, and Ghost Plasma established itself before Dragon's Egg shot out into a massive lead. This week's course featured a number of branching paths, which Dragon's Egg took advantage of, continuing to build a lead in an excellent display of front running. By the checkpoint, Dragon's Egg had established nearly a 2-second lead over second-place Quicksilver. Meanwhile, back at the other end, a number of marbles got themselves stuck in the wet sand and needed to be freed by the Ghost Marble, including red number 3. Coming in on the finish line, it was a clean victory for Dragon's Egg, but the real excitement was the fight for second place. Ghost Plasma hits a particularly bad patch of sand right in front of the finish line, and it's Quicksilver jumping ahead to steal second. Fortunately for Ghost Plasma, the rest of the field was close behind to slam it to Plasma and push them across the finish line to round out the podium. So, after 3 events, Cool Moody stands alone on top of the league standings thanks to a 4th place finish today. That's due in large part to finishing in the top 5 in every race so far this year. Marbly McMarbleface falls 7 spots with the only DNF of the race, and red number 3 drops 6 spots down to 15th. Blazing Fireball and Cobra still remain the only 2 racers without a point. It's only a matter of time until we find Marble Rally's own Mellow Yellow.
So this was the 3rd race of the season, but the first on this new course, and it definitely made for a different race experience.
Oh, for sure. What made the biggest differences to you?
Well, there were a few things. Right off the bat, we had that really wide open segment that allowed for a lot of early jostling, which made for an incredible opening stretch. Usually in these races, we'll see a clear top group form, but this week we got a lot of early action. This plastic surface was also a huge pain to a lot of competitors this week. If you hit that corner at the wrong angle, you're rolling right back up the hill, assuming you don't get a friendly bump from an opponent. That would be an incredibly difficult corner to take if this was a solo race.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to be in last place going into that turn, unless you know the Ghost Marble is right behind you.
I mean, you don't ever really want to be in last place anyway.
True that. Personally, I think the biggest thing this week was the weather conditions.
Yeah, that was a huge element.
Pun intended? Elements? Am I back with Bob again? Anyway, the wet ground meant that the walls were a lot more stable, which is a big reason why there were so many fewer DNFs this week. But it did also mean that it was a lot more likely for competitors to get stuck while slowing down, like we saw with that huge group with red number 3. We also saw that in the most crucial moment of the race, Ghost Plasma's sudden stop at the finish line. If you ever questioned how big of a factor weather plays, look no further than this week's race.
Yeah, it's a yikes for me. Glad I'm warm and safe in the studio here. So who's in the spotlight this week?
I mean, if it ain't broke, let's look at this week's winner.
Dragon's Egg. One of the league's most consistent performers and the 2017 Marble Rally champion. 4 wins and 7 podium finishes coming into this week, and let me tell you, they were out with a vengeance.
A vengeance is right. Dragon got out in front about 11 seconds in, and never once gave up the lead after that. As anyone who's played Mario Kart will tell you, front running can be an incredibly grueling task. There's a real danger of complacency, but that never came into play here.
How many 5-year-olds are you playing Mario Kart with that you're out in the front that often?
No comment.
That kind of front running is something you'd only see displayed this well from a competitor with a lot of experience. It's no surprise that Dragon's Egg has mastered a certain focus with all their years in the league. After starting off the year with a DNF at that now infamous early corner in race 1, it's been nothing but up and up ever since. Only time will tell now if that run's gonna hold.
It's all about that veteran presence. It's invaluable.
Without a doubt.
Alright, break time.
Oh wow, already? Wait, hold up, you're excited for the break this week?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I've heard Drew is upset about something or other from last week, so I'm just gonna go backstage now and grab my earplugs.
Oh, that's definitely the move. We'll be right back with Drew Discman, a deep dive, along with our predictions for the next race, and some featured comments from you, the fans. Don't go anywhere. And we're back!
And we're back!
What?
Drew Discman with the deep dive. How's it going, Drew?
Well, I gotta say, guys, it's been a really hard week. From getting abandoned here for days to needing to ride in the sidecar of that motorcycle to get to the new track just minutes before this week's race, I'm kind of exhausted.
Great to hear, Drew. What you got for us this week?
Wait, what? Did you guys even hear what I said?
We're all excited to hear your valuable insights, Drew. You're the best.
Alright, I guess. So this week we're going to continue our look at the starting positions and how they affected the final results. So if we look at the heat map this week, immediately out of the gate, we can see how this course looks to be different from earlier races. You can see that the strong positions seem to be clustered in the middle this time, a stark contrast to the first 2 races where the outside edges were shown favor. This trend continues as the race progresses, and all of a sudden the left edge is looking just abysmal as we hit the checkpoint heat map. Carry that through to the end, and this is the final result. Again, tracks pretty consistently for what we've seen throughout the race, and that makes sense. Once out to that initial lead, Dragon's Egg didn't give any opportunities for a comeback. So let's look at the 2 courses side by side now, and the difference is really apparent. So to the untrained eye, this might appear hilariously contrary to what we showed you last week, and yeah, it actually is. Why is that the case? Well, there's a few reasons for that. First of all, let's look at how the 2 courses open. On the first course after coming out of the gate, we immediately had a right turn through a very narrow corridor. This means that the early curve on the left side actually helped to nudge the competitors riding the wall into a lead position. Compare that now to this week. The right side of the opening stretch had a bump here that slowed competitors on that side of the course. And then, over on the left, the course bulged outwards, meaning that those on the left side couldn't ride the wall to an early lead. In fact, the more outside you went, the further you would fall behind. This leaves those in the middle with the biggest advantage on this course, who could use their opponents to stay centered on the course up until the first run. Of course, we'll be keeping a close eye on this week, but for those of you who are making your fantasy picks, you definitely want to lean on those who will be starting dead center next week. So, I should be good here, right? Until the next event? But I'd really love to figure out ahead of time, what am I going to do after?
Drew? Drew, can you hear us?
Drew? Was there anything important you wanted to ask? It's probably fine. How about we take all that knowledge you dropped on us and turn it into some fire picks for next week?
I like the way you think.
Alright, Dan. So, I'm a little new to the prediction game. How about you show me how it's done?
Well, it's been a while since I nailed a prediction. But overall, on the last track, the starting positions mapped pretty consistently to the results between races. So let's assume the same is true here. If we think the best results come from being in the back center on this course, then I'm going to lean into Lollipop for next race. They'll have the starting spot Quicksilver had this race, and look how that paid off. Lollipop's got my vote.
Well then, you know me, Dan. I'm all about the stories, the drama. And for that reason, I'm gonna have to go with Marbly McMarbleface. Marbly's also got that nice starting position that you're talking about, and after a few abysmal years, 2020 had been shaping up to be a fantastic season. This last race had an unfortunate DNF, but Marbly's proven so far that they're a different marble this year, and I really think you'll find them back in the running for the top 5 after this week.
A bold choice. I'd expect no less. And hey, if you're right, you can retire from Marble Rundown with a perfect prediction record. I definitely regret not giving up the guessing game after nailing my first ever public prediction back in this year's Marble League.
I think I speak for us all when I say here that we are glad it didn't last. You get a little unbearable when you're cocky.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Yep, he's right.
Thanks, Producer Jay. Love you too.
From the fans.
So last week we asked you what you would do if you were designing your own Marble Rally course.
Seems simple enough. Just paint the sand bright green, right?
That's one simple idea, though probably not the simplest in execution. We had a number of fans suggest that different terrains would be the way to go.
I mean, there's a reason the JMRC changed the official name from Sand Marble Rally to just Marble Rally, so we can presume that there's at least some kind of plan to implement that in the future. Jumps were also a common request. Who doesn't love some good airtime?
Yep. Tunnels were also pitched, which I think is a neat idea, as long as the weather behaves, of course.
Andrew McKean also had this idea for having some intentional funnel design segments, which sent competitors on a few more collision courses.
All excellent ideas. Thank you, everyone. So that brings us to today's question of the day. Who's going to get a point first? Will it be Blazing Fireball or Cobra? How long will it take? Or will none of them ever get a point? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to use the hashtag QOTD. Well, I guess that about does it for another week.
Thanks again for having me this week. It was a lot of fun.
Anytime. Don't forget, everyone, to check out Steve Naisphere on his series Rollback right here on TMR. You should have another one of those coming out soon, right?
Yep, we've got a few of them in the works. Just not ready to announce any dates yet, though.
Excellent. We're all looking forward to it. Well, from myself, Steve, and the rest of the Marble Rundown team, may your sand be moist and your edges smooth.
Bye, everyone. Catch y'all on Rollback.